Bryn, Martin, Dan down in Farnham, Tom out in the Netherlands, Karen, Sue Hart, Saskia, yeah, Caroline A. Oh, they're all coming in now. Ken James, hi Ken. Rocky, how you doing, mate? Gert out in the Netherlands too. Pam, sorting her hair out on the sofa. Liz Oliver, good to see you again, Liz. You were there with this weekend. Deb. I can't see everybody because Zoom limits the number of people that you can actually see on your screen. Amanda. Frank out in Florida. Hi, Frank.
Hi, David.
Nicola. Johannes. Gordon, good to see you again. Did you get home safely, Gordon? Saw you at the weekend. Pat O'Connor, good to see you too. Anne Borders. Natasha. Sylvie. Oh, we've got a full house tonight. That's good. And Jeff Fairfield is seen there. Hi, Jeff. Yeah, we got a full house tonight. That's great. That's fantastic. So welcome to. Just making sure you can see me. Welcome to session 2, Everyday Magic. Thank you all so much for the brilliant feedback for the first session that we did last week. So this is really about state, and I think a lot of people thought it was about the state of the other people, but no, not really. Your state for everyday magic is the most important thing. So you've got to be in an empowered state, because that will draw people to you. And when I say empowered, Tony Robbins goes like, bang, stab, empowered state. That's not really the state I'm talking about. It's being in a state where people would want to be in the same state as you. Then we've got your beliefs about you and other people. So this is really perception is projection. So, there's your beliefs about you, being at cause, believing you're the creator of your world, believing in perception is projection, and that you can change anything in your life, no matter what it is, whether it be mental, emotional, physical. Really important, because that is what you'll project out to other people. Then your belief about the impact of what you know on other people. It's kind of like, well, it's like, I'm trying to think of a way of describing this. If you were a higher self, you would believe that everybody was absolutely perfect, including you, and including everybody else. If you were a higher self, this is a really important thing to get, is to behave like or think like a higher self in your lifetime. because then no matter who approaches you, you'll perceive them as being perfect. And, and perfect is like, it's a paradox. Wherever they are right now is perfect. Wherever they want to get is perfect. So, whereas a lot of people go, okay, I need to change this, I need to change them, I need to change whatever. No, as a higher self, you wouldn't do that because it's perfect. So most people think about change from an away from point of view. As in, this is wrong, we need to change that. What I'm talking about is going, where it is right now is perfect. And we can create a new perfect. This is really about our beliefs that we can project onto other people. I really got this a good number of years ago when I used to live in Acton. Acton is a bit of an up-and-coming area now, but at the time it was a bit down in the dumps. And me and my then girlfriend were having a drink in a pub in the centre of Acton Marketplace, and this bag lady, a bag lady with all the bags, the stripy bags and newspapers that they're going to use to wrap up themselves in the night and all that kind of stuff, all their worldly belongings in a bag. And she came up to me and she said, "Could I have 30p, please?" And I said, "Is that what you really want?" She said, "No, I want £1. Is that what you really want?" "Well, I want a cup of tea." "Is that what you really want?" "No." "So what do you really want?" "I want a can of Carlsberg Special Brew." And I said, "Is that what you really want?" She said, "No, I want 2 cans of Carlsberg Special Brew." I said, "Okay, how much is that?" She said, "The shop across the road, £2. I didn't have any change, so I gave her a £20 note. And I said, "Okay, go and get yourself 2 cans of Carlsberg Special Brew and then bring me the change when you bought them." And my girlfriend at the time had got a jaw on the floor. She goes, Are you serious? Do you seriously think you're going to get your money back?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. And if I don't, it will come back from somewhere else in the universe, Anyway, 5 minutes later, lady shows up, all of her worldly belongings in her bag, 2 cans of Carlsberg Special Brew in a carrier bag, and gives me the £18 change. And we're into a dialogue, we're into a conversation. And, I'm pretty good at conversational change. I should be. She was telling me about her life and what had happened that had wound up her being on the street and all that kind of stuff. And I was reframing everything with slide mouth patterns and all those kind of things. I'm going to teach those later in the program. And 20 minutes later, she walked off with a big smile on her face. Whether that's because she had a different viewpoint on her life or whether she was just looking forward to 2 cans of Carlsberg Special Brew, it doesn't really matter. And I did go home and think, if I hadn't have sorted out my judgment, my projection on people who are living out on the street, then either she wouldn't have been drawn to me or I wouldn't have responded in that way. So this is very important from a everyday magic point of view, is that no matter where somebody is, no matter where somebody wants to be, you can assist them in getting there. And though you have to see in your own mind, or perceive in your own mind, that where they are right now for them is perfect. Where they want to be is also perfect. So we're going from one version of perfect to another version of perfect, not a wrong to right. This is really important from a perceptions projection point of view. This is what will attract people to you who want to be personally empowered in whatever way that you do. Then it's about your energy. You know, this is a thing that attracts people more than anything else. You being in good state and having beliefs about yourself and about others is what will have you have the energy that attracts people, like, I'm going to say, like moths to a flame in a way. Okay. So what is that state? It's the kahuna state from Huna, Hakalau. You know, if you were a kahuna in ancient Hawaii, you would never actually announce yourself as being a kahuna. In fact, if somebody asked you or accused you of being a kahuna, you would deny it. I remember being with Uncle George Naopi, one of my mentors in Huna. And we're in a bar in downtown Kona. Now, believe you me, I believe Uncle George Naopi was absolutely a kahuna because of the things that I saw him do with my own eyes. Not just hearsay, saw him do it with my own eyes. I went in a bar and somebody said, "Are you Uncle George Naopi?" And Uncle, you know, being Uncle, just went like, "Well, who's asking?" The guy said, "Well, this is so and so." He goes, "Are you Uncle George Naopi?" He goes like, "Yes, I am." "I've heard you're a kahuna." And Uncle just went like, "No, I'm not a kahuna. I'm just a singer. I'm an entertainer. I play the ukulele. Would you like to buy some CDs?" And Uncle then sold him 2 or 3 CDs or whatever, and then bought the next round of drinks. The kahuna state is hakalau, peripheral vision. So how did you really know who was a kahuna? When the shit was hitting the fan, everybody else was freaking out. The kahuna was always in the state of na, calm, balanced, and centered. Which, you know, many of you have already heard how we actually attain that state is this state of living in peripheral vision. So having our vision out here, having our vision down there, all of those kind of things. That's how we live in that state that will put our energy out and will attract people to our energy, because your energy flows where your attention goes. So if you're in the kahuna state, hakalau, then your energy will be, you know, a lot of people call it personal magnetism. And, you know, the more energy you build up inside of yourself, and then being in the hakalau state, your energy will go absolutely everywhere that you go. And then if you've got these beliefs that no matter where somebody is at, they can transform that and they can change it, then they will come to you. Then, and just that alone, you see, because of the state that you're in, people will go, "There's something different about you. And I want to be like you." That alone will begin to create the transformation for people to move from where they are now to where they want to be, no matter where they are now or where they want to be. So these are the key things about state. I think a lot of people thought when I said state, it was going to be about the state of the person that you're going to be doing everyday magic with. No, we can't start there. We've got to start with you, your state, your beliefs, your projections. And then when we get into the later things, then we can start talking about things we can actually do with people. And you've got to draw them in first. Draw them in. So that's my content about state this week. I'm saying we're up to about 20 minutes, but I haven't taken questions yet. So if you've got questions about that, please put them in the chat. Please put it in the chat, and then Sally in the other room, who's managing the whole thing, will say, "Okay, so and so's got a question." Then we can. I'll have you unmute your microphone so that everybody can hear your question from you personally, and then I'll answer it. So, any questions about the content of tonight?
Okay, Ken, you've got a question. Please ask your question.
Sally, I didn't hear who that was.
Ken James.
Sorry,
Okay.
me. I don't know whether my hearing's gone out of whack. Did you say state of Na or Ha?
Na.
Na.
So, Kahuna,
Yes.
if you look at the word, Na is means calm, balanced, and centered. That's what Na means.
Thank you.
So Kahuna means, and this is how you'd know that somebody was a kahuna, because they would always be in the state of Na. When everybody else was losing their head, when everybody else was freaking out, there'd be somebody that was just calm, balanced, and centered, and could do something about the situation. And that's how you knew who a genuine kahuna was.
Fabulous. Thank you.
That's the pleasure. Sally, any other questions?
Nope, not so far.
Okay. So either I've been very, very succinct and very direct and everybody's understood it, or not at all.
Okay.
I'll take the former.
Alex Harrow has a question.
Alex, how you doing, mate?
Unmute, that would help. How does a
Alex, you're breaking up a little bit.
oh right, okay. How
Your-
does the kahuna become a kahuna?
They
Can
were,
you hear me?
yeah. So you asked, how did a kahuna become a kahuna? They were either born
Yeah.
into a particular lineage and were selected from their family to be trained as a kahuna, or they were identified when they were very young and trained in the ancient teachings of Huna to become a kahuna. It was something that was rather bestowed upon them rather than something that they could claim of themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Alex?
Partly, yeah. I'm sure there's more that I could ask, but I don't want to take up too much space. So
Alex, whatever. So it says that you said it answered it partly.
yeah.
What's the part that's not answered yet?
What is involved in the original Kahuna training? What would they have to go through?
The original Kahuna training, I don't know. We do Huna training today.
Yeah.
Not Kahuna training. We do Huna training today. But originally we would have been talking about before 1820 in Hawaii. And either you were a Kahuna by blood or you were a Kahuna by training. And the major thing around the training would be, from my perspective these days, would be around a connection with the elements, spirit, air, fire, water, earth, and also a connection with your own higher self. That would be the key things. And that's not unique to Huna. That's also in many other traditions other than the Hawaiian tradition.
Mm.
Does that now answer your question, Alex?
Yes, that's exciting. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Good. Thanks for the question.
Thank you.
Gert, you're up next.
Good.
Yes, hello, David.
Hi, Gert. Yes.
I've become very aware of my different kind of state I have. And I noticed that it is very important how I perceive my world and how my environment perceives me. Especially with my wife, we became very aware how we communicate with each other based on our state. So when we have a quarrel, if one of us understands what's going on, we can easily tap on a different state and view it from a different perspective. My question is actually, now I have become more aware of it, all my different states, like my higher self, my mental state, my physical ways, emotional or feeling way. I can also shift, but how can I actually hold all these states together? Because that's what I noticed, that at the moment, rare occasions, I'm really aware of everything in total. And I feel that when we're talking about peripheral vision, it's more than just what you are viewing. So how can I be in that state which actually everything is present? And I like actually about you, everything is perfect, because that's really happening at the moment. I perceive a lot of things, even when in the past I thought it was negative. I see it's perfect for the moment.
Right. Okay. Good. Great questions. So the Kahuna state, or what we would know as let me just get a pen here. Akalau is the peripheral vision state. Whereas, you've got two different forms of vision. There's foveal vision, which is stress, And then there's peripheral vision. Which is relaxed. And it's not only your vision, it's also, when you go into the peripheral vision state, will go into peripheral hearing. You'll also go into peripheral feeling.
Yeah.
So you're very, very, very aware of your environment and other people around you. And it's really learning to live in that state. The other thing, that you mentioned, you mentioned that, everything's perfect. This is around this one here, is that really, if you're going to be wandering around the planet as a higher self and a potential change agent, then it's important to perceive everything as perfect. So, there's a number of things happening on the planet at this point in time that obviously, we here have got this cost of living crisis. Perfect. There's this conflict between the Ukraine and Russia. Perfect. It is where it is right now. And where it is right now is perfect. And paradoxically, you can go like, okay, that's exactly where it needs to be at this particular point in time. And I want it to be over here in my perception, which is all you've got. So, because when you're thinking that, well, here's an example. I was teaching at Huna out in Hawaii in the 90s, and somebody said, well, a group of us get together and we meditate to heal the planet. So I said, so it's your fault then? And they went, what do you mean? I said, it's your fault that the planet needs healing. Because if you meditate every day to heal the planet, then you're presupposing in your internal representations that the planet needs healing. And you'll always find something that needs to be healed. If you see the planet today exactly where it's meant to be, and then go, okay, this is where the planet today is and meant to be, and I want it to be over here, then you can transform things. Which is like why I told the story about the lady with the bags and things. I would at one point in time thought, bag lady, wrong. She shouldn't be living out the street, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't. I just went like, okay, this is where she is right now. And if she wants to move, everyday magic, then we can do that. And also, if that lady wanted to stay exactly where she was for the rest of her life, perfect. Good. I don't know if that sounds to your question or not.
Partly, actually. My question was more by being aware of my different states, I can choose what kind of state I'm in. Am I now aware of my body, or I'm aware of what I'm thinking? And I noticed with myself that regularly I'm still a lot in my head and start to think about things, and then I start to confuse what I actually want to do. And as soon as I came back in that other kind of state which I can actually perceive everything. It's very, so it's, I call it kind of state hard, inner knowingness. Everything become much more easy.
Yeah.
And my question is actually, how can I deal with it? Because I see that I'm still juggling around in all the kinds of different states. And the moments I notice that I am in a kind of peripheral state where I'm aware of all these different states together. So I'm aware of my thoughts, about my feelings, about my body awareness, and about my surroundings, and I hear, and so that's a kind of clear seeing and hearing. That's a perfect state, and it's actually a state I love to be in, because it gives so much clarity what's going on, and it's actually a state which I'm very in the moment. It's not a state where I'm in the past or in the future. It's really a state which I notice that it gives me all the benefits of all the different aspects of my life, of my being. They are all present, so they're working together. And that's what I felt is the beautiful state to be in.
So the key to that is to use timeline therapy or HUNA to let go of all your negative emotions in the past. Then to program your future using the creating future process with everything you want to create in the future with absolute certainty. Because if you think about it, if everything was dealt with in the past and your future was totally predestined, if you like, by you, what would there be left to think about?
Yeah.
Just now. So, you know, let me put a real life perspective on that. So I've got huge goals out in my future. And then, you know, tonight, a little bit later, I'm going to go and sit down on my sofa and I'm going to watch something on TV. When I'm watching something on TV, my belief is that that's absolutely the right thing for me to do at that particular point in time to achieve my goals. Whereas a lot of people go, I shouldn't be watching the TV, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, I should be doing the other. No. And when you do that, you do everything now at 100%. Whereas if you're thinking about stuff in the past, or you're thinking about, you know, worrying about the future, you're not doing now at 100%. So, and then it's really about learning and training yourself to live in this state. Now, we have a lot of things in our environment that want to take us out of that state. Phones, computers, draw us into foveal vision. And we can learn to look at our phone, use our phone, and still be in peripheral vision, like I'm doing right now. So I'm looking at my phone and I can see you in the middle of my screen right now, even though you're in that big. But you know, technology today is training people to go into foveal vision rather than peripheral vision, which is one of the reasons why I believe that more and more people are saying that they're stressed. This is the key. It's very, very simple. And simple doesn't mean it's easy, right? Because, you know, at school, we're trained to, we're told, focus, concentrate if you want to learn. Absolute worst thing ever to learn is focus and concentrate. To learn is to open up our awareness around us. And you know, it takes time. It takes time to. And there are always things that will come along that will knock you off track, and you'll go, "Okay, I'm not in peripheral vision. Stop. Pause. Breathe. Hard breathe. Put yourself in peripheral vision, and then act." Does that answer your question now, Gert?
Yeah, beautiful. Very clear.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you for the question. Yeah. Has anybody else got any more questions?
Yep. Liz, does that answer your question?
Thanks, David. You've just answered my question. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Liz. Thanks for being here. And thanks for being on the weekend too.
Okay, Arthur, you're up, buddy.
Okay, David, great to be here again. Awesome. This is Arthur from Australia. Okay, I love what you said, David. About most people think of change from and away from, rather than toward. That is just boom. So you're talking about getting into the NAR state. And so the NAR state you mentioned is calm, balanced, and centered.
Yeah.
So to say I'm going to be calm presupposes that I'm not. To say that I'm balanced presupposes that I'm not. So am I correct if I said, okay, if I want to be able to do something for me to get me in the NAR state, calm and not being calm, well, that's a dichotomy, right?
Yeah, well, everything's a dichotomy.
And so I can do the Chiavi process on calm and not calm, and balance and not balance, and centered not centered. And the more I do that on those things that I've created as a dichotomy, that will help me get into the kahuna state.
Well, yeah. And to a certain extent, Arthur, I think you're overthinking it. In that, you know, just do it. And though, you know, the other thing that you said is very much about your beliefs about you and other people. So the thing around it is, wherever you are right now, personally, even if, you know, your perception is the shit's hitting the fan and, like, you know, and you're not in a good place, it's perfect, as in it's exactly where you're meant to be right now. And then where you perceive other people to be, no matter where they are, no matter what pain they're in or whatever it is or whatever they've been through, is exactly where they're meant to be. A good friend of mine, Stuart Wilde, you know, he's one of my gurus in a way in the 90s, even before I discovered NLP and Huna and tomotherapy. I read his books, and I actually got to spend an afternoon with him, which was just like bizarre for me. This would have been about 1991. And, you know, we got the stuff on TV, Live Aid, whatever, which was a TV show that we had here in the UK, raising money for the famine in Ethiopia. And you're seeing all of these movies of little kids starving, big bellies and flies on their mouth and on their face. And I just happened to mention to Stuart that, isn't that awful? Well, I didn't get the response from Stuart that I was expecting. We're in a very, very well-to-do restaurant, Brown's Hotel in Albemarle Street in Mayfair in London. And Stuart just like slams his fist down on the table and goes, who the fuck do you think you are? And this is really a place where people do drink tea with their little fingers sticking out. And he's just done this, and they're all like, it's like a freeze frame. And I haven't got an answer for him. Who the fuck do you think you are? Talk about pattern interrupt. And he said, who are you to say that those kids out in Ethiopia haven't chosen that particular life to enable them to evolve to the next level of their evolution? Who the fuck do you think you are? And to be honest with you, Arthur, it fried my fucking brains at the time. But that's what led me to then, once I learned about NLP and once I learned about Huna and Ho'oponopono, that's what led me, that moment with Stuart is what led me to then use what I learned from NLP, from Tomlin therapy, from Huna, to heal up the people in my universe that I perceived to need healing, if you like, that I perceived to be not perfect. And when I did that, that's when people started coming to me and just having a conversation with me, which is what we're talking about here with Everyday Magic.
Yeah.
Having a conversation with people, which I wouldn't have had before, but I don't think they would have been attracted of a conversation with me before. And that moment transformed my thinking. I didn't totally know how to do it when Stuart nailed me to the wall. But then, a couple of years later, I met Tad and I got NLP, I got Tomlin therapy, and I got Huna, and I went like, okay, this is how you do it. This is how to put it into practice. This is how to make it happen. But really, when I think about it now, and I've not actually thought about it before, it's in this way, actually, before you asked me the question, Arthur. So thanks for asking me the question. The catalytic point was that afternoon tea with Stuart Wilde in the tea room in Brown's in Albemarle Street when he did that thing. Who the fuck do you think you are? And I hadn't got a clue where to go with it. But it did shift my thinking. So it is a paradox in that wherever you are, wherever anybody else is perfect, as in they, you, and the world is exactly where it's meant to be. Be okay with that. Then go, okay, I want to work to change this. Does that make sense, Arthur?
Yeah, perfect sense. Perfect. And I love you talking about Stuart Wilde. One of my favorite books is The Quickening. That blew me away. So
The Quickening, yes.
Yeah.
I've got them all. They're all in here. The Quickening, I love that. I read that. I got them all. Miracles, Affirmations, The Quickening. The Trick to Money is having some. Yeah, and then to actually spend an afternoon with him was just mind-boggling.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Arthur. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Sally, do it.
Yep, Carmel.
Hi, David. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Kamal.
On a lighter note, if you walk into a room where people have been arguing and there's a really horrible state in the room, you just feel it as you walk in, but internally you're very calm and relaxed. Are you able to change the state of the people in the room or the energy in the room, or do you just chicken out and walk back straight out?
Great. Real life, real world question, Carmel. Yes, you. Yes. Well, you did ask me at all. You know me, Carmel. So I would say yes, you can, by you staying in that Hakalau Na state and just being there, staying in that state will change the energy and the state of everybody in the room. And you don't have to say anything. Because if you think about, the Na state is a state of no thingness. So it's about being 100% comfortable being in a space, being in a crowd, staying in that state and not saying anything. Because then what will happen is they will be drawn into you. When they're drawn into you, then once they're drawn into you, which they will be, then you can change, or not change, but recreate a new energy in the room. But silence has a massive power. This is something that I teach on on presenting magically in trainers training. Is I teach our presenters, our speakers, our trainers that when they walk out onto the stage, they only start when they're ready. Because nature abhors a vacuum. And if they stand there in Hakalau, they're in a calm, balanced, centered state, and they're silent, eventually the room will become silent and all eyes will be on them. And then they start to present. So in those kind of situations that you're mentioning, Carmel, that's how, in an everyday magic point of view, you take control of a room.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if they then start asking you lots of things, or he said, she said, and then they drag you into it. Do you end up with their energy rather than the one you started with?
Oh, you stay out of it.
Mm,
You stay in your energy.
yeah.
Cause and effect.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
You stay at the cause side of the equation. Yeah. Sally, any other questions?
Yep, Paul, you're up. Paul Brucker.
All right, thank you. David, it seems like this, if I get this terminology right or not, the kahuna seems to be kind of a special being who is normally calm, balanced, and centered, and that's just kind of modus operandi for this guy.
Could be, or they could have learnt it.
Okay, but
and the learning of it. And any of us can enter the state of the kahuna.
Yeah.
By doing this.
Right, that's what I was wondering about.
Does that mean you're a kahuna?
Okay. It seems like when that guy smashes the teacup or whatever, and he seems angry or fearful, and he's not a kahuna guy, but he's making his point, and it doesn't seem hey, this guy's not centered and balanced. This guy's angry, and when you were with the bag lady, did you kind of see yourself shifting into that centered and balanced place, by contrast?
I learned this 30 years ago. And I've been practicing it for 30 years. So pretty much now I live my life in that state. Do I feel negative emotions? Yes, I do. All of them when certain things happened. And does that take me out of that state? Yes, it does. And my go-to is, okay, I'm not in Hakalau, get myself back into it again. And this is a reframe really from an NLP point of view, because what you do is you see things in the global perspective rather than the specific perspective that is causing you a problem. So it's a bit like a neurological reframe. I mean, I've got no evidence for this, but I think that actually human beings are the only people or the only animals that have been trained to live in that foveal state. I think our natural being is that, to be in peripheral vision. Because, if we were to go back 10,000, 20,000 years, if we were wandering around in the foveal vision state, we wouldn't survive. Because we wouldn't see stuff coming. But our environment these days is very much around training us to be in this. Yeah. So therefore, retrain ourselves to be in this state. So, in anything, are there or were there naturally born kahunas? Yes, I believe so. I believe I've actually met a few of them. Are there people who learned and trained to be able to do what you might call the kahuna life? Yes, I think I've met some of those too. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Mabel, you have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, Mabel.
Hi, Dave. Thank you. Oh, I'm speaking Dutch to you now. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. Now, I was wondering, what was my question again? What is the meaning of kahuna? And where did that originated?
What is the meaning of kahuna?
Yeah.
Well, in Hawaiian, we need to break up the word.
Okay.
So you got ka, which is the, but also ka is the light. Huna is secret, but not secret as in I've got a secret, I'm not going to tell you, but more secret as in hidden. So huna actually has the same meaning as the Latin word occult. So, a lot of people, when they hear the word occult, they go, devil worship. No, occult just means literally hidden from sight, which is why occult is still used in modern day medicine. If somebody's died and they do an autopsy and they find that the person's got a cancer or a tumor that hadn't been discovered before they died, they actually call it an occult tumor, as in it was hidden from sight. So huna and occult mean the same thing, hidden from sight. So, you know, in the Bible, seek and ye shall find is the same thing. When you actually go looking for something, you'll find it everywhere. And then Na, as we've mentioned already, means calm, balanced, and centered. So Pahuda means a number of things, because we have to take in all of the meanings of all the parts of the word. But it basically means, you know, if you were to look at it from a big picture point of view, it would be keeper of the secret. Keeper as in caretaker. I think would probably be a better word for it than keeper. Caretaker of the secret. As in the secret knowledge of the workings of the universe. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I understand it now. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool.
And where
Thank
did
you.
it originated from?
Sorry?
Where did it originated from? Where is it coming from?
From Hawaii. Yeah. Kahuna and Huna originate from Hawaii.
Hawaii, okay.
The ancient original teachings of the people of Hawaii.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, so up next, we have two people who would like to share their everyday magic experiences with everybody.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
Fraser, you're up next, please.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, David. Thanks for.
How you doing?
I'm very good. Thanks for everything tonight. Really interesting. So, just wanted to share a very quick story with you from this week, actually, where I went out in a situation. I was at an airport. I was in the airport lounge, and purposely went out with a sense of calm and peace and openness, and just to explore and let's see what happens as we go out. So as I went into the lounge area, there were lots of people milling around, and had a few brief conversations with a few people. And then a gentleman went to cross in front of me, and I could have just pushed forward and gone where I was going, and he'd have had to wait for me. But instead, I said, no, do you know what? You take your time. I'm not in a rush. You go ahead. Anyway, he instantly went into this conversation about how he'd been ill and a near-death experience he had. And then he started telling me about he'd had a conversation with his God, where he'd been stood by his graveside looking at his coffin, and his God had said to him, is it time to get in yet or not? And he'd made that decision to say, do you know what, actually, it's not quite time to get in yet. I've got more to do. And then our conversation sort of went on a bit. And actually, I ended up sharing with him a piece of information around some research that I knew of about how your body can heal itself, and a documentary that he could go off and understand how to do that. And I sort of walked off from that conversation initially and sort of realized that was like a time and a place thing. The fact that I was in that mode and ready to share and welcome whatever came my way. And then his personal journey, he was looking for something. And that piece of information I was able to impart to him potentially with the sharing that I had. And then the funny thing was, then of course I went in and sat with my brother who I was traveling with. And I said to him, just really strange experience. This guy's just shared his near-death experience and his conversation with God with me. And of course, my brother has no idea about all of this stuff. And he just looked at me and went, why would anyone do that? But for me, it all made sense. I just completely understood how it all worked.
Absolutely fantastic, Fraser. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's what it's all about. This is what this masterclass is all about, drawing in more and more of those kind of experiences where we can assist people in transforming, their own life. But of course, because of perception is projection, then what we're doing all the time it's transforming our life too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Fraser. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Well done.
Okay, Adrian, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. Hi, David.
Hi, Adrian.
Thank you for sharing stuff.
I know which Adrian it is now.
Yeah. And I'm sorry I was a bit late this evening. I was actually working with a client, and the bit of everyday magic that I wanted to share has to do with exactly this experience, because asking about what the issue was and doing precision questioning, we came to a key conflict. And I checked with them, well, okay, if this expression of the conflict would be resolved, does this resolve the presenting problem? And calibrated, they were quite certain, yes, this will resolve the problem. And then I began explaining the process of doing parts integration, but the Chiave process version of it. And as I was explaining it, all of a sudden, I see they were completely transfixed, big color shifts, change in their physiology, and they say to me, oh my goodness, I realized actually the real conflict was something much, much deeper, and it's this, da, 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 da. And I say, well, great, wonderful. Thank your unconscious mind for bringing that to your awareness. Now we can resolve it even faster and with an even greater impact. And they say to me, no, it's you. I realize I wouldn't have come to this realization had you not been here and your presence making the difference. And I tell them, look, I don't know. I don't feel like I've done anything special. I mean, I was just explaining the process. We did the questioning beforehand. They say, no, definitely something about what you told me just now made all the difference. And I paused and thought to myself, okay, well, I suppose you can make a difference without necessarily knowing what you've done. And immediately thought this will be a great story to share with the class tonight in the session. So yes, thank you for teaching me the Chiave process and getting me to the point where I can make this difference.
That's a pleasure, Adrian. Thanks for sharing that. The Kahuna in Hawaii, what they would do is when a client came to, and there's various forms of Kahuna, which we go into in detail in the Kahuna training. But if somebody came to a Kahuna for healing of a mental, emotional, physiological point of view, then the Kahuna would question them. I guess from a NLP point of view, would discover their current model of the world, and would then send the client or the patient away, and they would work on the part of them that was the client and heal the client up inside of them. And they knew when they were done was when the problem disappeared in the client. So they didn't actually do any direct work with the client, they worked with themselves. This is what got Tad interested in Huna in the first place in the 80s. And, obviously I then learned Huna from Tad and a number of other people. But that's everyday magic. You see, this is the importance of this bit. Because of perception is projection, if you have an internal model of the world where mental, emotional, and physiological disease don't exist, then they can't exist when you're around. That's why that is so important. In that, if you truly believe that about yourself and about other people, then when people are around you, all of those things have to disappear. That's a pretty major and profound presupposition, if you think about it. And that's all that we personally can take responsibility for. The only thing that we can take responsibility for is our projections. So project out that everything's exactly as it is, exactly okay, and also that things can change paradoxically, then they will. And people will, just like Fraser was saying, people will come to you. You don't need to go looking for people. They will come and find you. Sally, are there any other questions?
Yep, we have Giselle.
Giselle.
Hello, David. Thank you so much for this evening. It's a wonderful call. I think you started to answer what my question was going to be in terms of the peripheral vision. I think that was quite profound when you spoke about peripheral vision and foveal vision. And I guess one of my questions is, then are people more influenced when we're in foveal vision than when we're in our peripheral vision?
Are we more influenced? Well,
and a second part of the question is, should we train ourselves to be more in peripheral vision more of the time? Because for me, I think my peripheral vision is quite strong. And when I think of foveal vision and peripheral vision for me is calming the nervous system.
Yes. Yes,
So
absolutely.
are people that think outside the box or more entrepreneurial, people that think outside of the box more in peripheral vision? It just raises so many questions to me. I don't know which one to, not sure how to ask them. And I've just found it quite profound, the diagram you've just done.
Yeah, Giselle, it's a very simple thing, and it does have profound implications. So when somebody's in foveal vision, they will be feeling negative emotions, and you're quite rightly saying they will be in sympathetic nervous arousal. So when somebody's feeling a negative emotion, then are they more easily influenced, or what some people might call manipulated? Controlled, yes, particularly with the emotions of fear and guilt. We saw this a lot during the lockdowns over COVID. It was like you watch TV, it was the installation of fear and guilt all the time. Fear of getting COVID yourself, guilt of if you gave somebody else COVID and they died, which had millions of people toe the line, if you like. So yes, when people are in foveal vision because of negative emotions, then yes, they're easily influenced, controlled, or manipulated, whichever word we want to put on it. When people are in peripheral vision because they are calm, balanced, and centered, and also see things in global, yes, exactly. That's the word I was going to say. In the global perspective, it enables them to reframe everything. So what in here, foveal vision appears to be massive, in peripheral vision is small. It enables you to put it into the global perspective, and you go like, oh, it's just this. So, and then, you're saying peripheral vision for you is big. I
think you use all the senses. When we're in peripheral vision, we're using our 5 senses, or even a 6th sense, you could say.
Yes. So when you're in peripheral vision, you go into peripheral hearing. It's the absolute best upgrade for my hi-fi system I have ever done. It's just listening in peripheral vision, puts me into peripheral hearing, and the sound stage just opens up. You go into peripheral feeling. So you feel what's around you. And, the 6th sense, as you mentioned that, would be in the unconscious mind. And what peripheral vision, or Hakalau, as it's called in Huna, is a trance state. It's a waking trance, whereas most people think trances looks like this. Hakalau, that's a downtown trance. Uptime trance looks like this. So you are in a trance, you are connected and communicating with your unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is where everybody's sixth sense lives. So yes, Giselle, absolutely spot on.
So how can we be more of the time in peripheral vision? Is that something you train? And then would that heal people more if they can be more in that state of, or using the peripheral vision more?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very simple. It is something I train. It is something I teach. And, you know, it is just that. Just putting yourself into the peripheral vision state. I'm sure I've got some videos where I teach it, actually. So what I'll do is I'll put up in the group, Real World NLP and Huna. I'll find the videos and post those videos into the group. Where I just do a session just on this.
Wonderful. I think with peripheral vision, we're using the back of the head, the back of the brain. So I don't know foveal vision, but I know with peripheral vision, if you put your whole hand on the back of the base of the skull, the back of the head, and then look out straight ahead, you can then, from an Alexander technique point of view, that's how you can get peripheral vision. But I haven't seen it in the context of what you've spoken about, and then it's just brought up so many things now. So to train, I'm just thinking for to be able to train people to use their peripheral vision more, maybe we could be healthier. We could help people, you know, in it from a healing point to be in that place, perhaps.
Yeah, no, totally. It's interesting you said about putting your hand on the back of your head, because one of the things I do is when I teach peripheral vision is I have people imagine that there's a tennis ball floating above and behind the back of their head. Look on a spot in front of them, but put their attention on the tennis ball.
And then you get through. So that's what I teach with my hand on the back of somebody's head.
Great. And also the important thing, though, as well, is that peripheral vision isn't only horizontal, it's also vertical.
Global. It's 3D almost.
So it's down as well as left to right.
Vertical, horizontal.
And also, you know, I think we're becoming more aware of stress-related dis-ease these days, and peripheral vision being the opposite of stress, because it's black and white. It's not shades of grey. You're either in foveal vision or you're in peripheral vision. You're either in sympathetic nervous arousal or parasympathetic nervous arousal. If you're in parasympathetic nervous arousal, you are relaxed and your body will heal.
Wonderful. No, that's a real aha moment for me, seeing that diagram. So I want to be able to help more people be in peripheral vision, I think.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks, Giselle.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sally, any other questions?
Nope, I don't think there are. I've put a final call out, so I think we're good for this evening.
There we go. Another 30-minute session, otherwise known as an hour and 15. I can see Arthur clapping there. Useful session, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Brilliant. Share this with as many people as you can. Let's get more people into the group. I've got a goal of having 1,000 people in the group. We've currently got about 770. But if you share it with other people and just say the value that you're getting out of it, then we'll get up to 1,000 really easily. And then, you know, I just love spending this time with you. I love your questions and all that kind of stuff. You know, the interesting thing is I did about 20 minutes of content, and then we had over nearly an hour of questions, which is just brilliant. This is real kind of like everyday magic, real involvement. This is how we do it. It's how we make it work. So thanks, guys, and I will see you next week. I can't remember what the topic is next week, but I'll work it out before we get there.
Brilliant,
Thank you.
David.
Good
Brilliant.
night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
See you all.
very much. Bye-bye.
Love you lots. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.